Good morning. Gold just smashed through 3,900 per ounce, actually record high. First time in history we'll go to 3,945, and we're staring down the barrel of 4,000, key psychological level, of course, but also um, the 4,015, a little bit higher than the 4K, which is very typical as a false break. That seems to be the extension of the last leg to the upside following the triangle breakout that we'll have talked about for a long time. Um, and of course, we are also very cautious of this rejection at the top channel, which again is the one connecting the swing low of the triangle completion, as well as the pullback that we saw after hitting 3.7 and going down to 3.625, which is where, of course, we have the two lows connected for this channel. We are, of course, witnessing one of the most significant precious metals rallies in decades. So we have currently three forces that they are pushing gold prices higher. The government shutdown, of course, with delayed data and the Fed flying blind into the October 29th meeting, markets are pricing in 95%, nearly 100% of a rate cut in October, and also an 85, 90% rate cut in December. There is a lot of safe haven demand because there is, of course, political gridlock in the US. Goldman Sachs even goes as high as to say, put a target at 5K. Of course, this is more of a longer term situation. And we also have, technical momentum actually still building, right? So we have had the first peak up at the September record high. Then we reset the RSI. We had another leg up. We create divergence, not such high momentum, but still overbought. And now, after following a bullish hidden divergence and another reset on the RSI, we see prices overextending once again. Okay, so looking at the RSI being at 70, however, and we have a second consecutive bearish divergence on the 4 hour, okay, and combined with a cluster that sees the 78 points Fibonacci extension and the bearish and the bullish channel rejection, we have to be a little bit careful because we are overbought. Okay, so another reset, if we follow the previous sort of pattern on the RSI, another reset will bring us down to around the 50% without breaking above the previous peak at 78.50. So I would really be paying attention on the RSI on the 4 hour and where we can go above that level. Because if we do go above that level, then probably we're going to see a smaller pullback and then further continuation to the upside with perhaps less momentum to then create a hidden bearish divergence. Okay. So what levels are we watching? To the upside, we are watching the 4K, of course. I would say 395 is already done pretty much. So we're looking at 3975, then 4K, and 415, which is the 100 Fibonacci. On the downside, we're looking at the previous swing high at 3,895. Okay, double top over here, a very important level. Then we'll look at the channel, medium channel break. Okay, and then we're looking at the 61.8 support at 3,865 and the 50 at 3,820, which seems to be a cluster, at least for tomorrow, let's say, or the day after, a cluster with the lower channel. And of course, it becomes a critical level to watch. Now, we do have, of course, the FOMC minutes on Wednesday, and it is we have a potential. There is potential since we've actually rejected that level. There is potential for profit taking because we have today, we have Tuesday, and also the majority of Wednesday until then. Okay. Now that doesn't mean we cannot go higher, but we are facing the technical resistance over here, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some profit taking take place. Okay. Apart from that, we also have a speech. Okay, and of course, we need to see whether after Wednesday any of the jobs data is going to be published, like the weekly jobless claims, of course. given there is good news on the shutdown. So for those who like for a bit more open to taking risk, uh, could be looking for short positions for today and tomorrow, perhaps. Would be looking for prices perhaps just tiny, a little bit higher above. Uh, the short term um, move to the downside might not be too. It's definitely a risky sort of thing to go over to do, because there is still risk of further upside, right? But for those who are looking for getting into the potential opportunity of profit taking ahead of the FOMC minutes, given nothing new comes out of the US government shutdown, because we could have news coming out that they are negative. If Trump, for example, insists that there's not going to be no agreement, then possibly that could push gold higher. So we'll be looking for these catalysts and taking them into account for whatever trades we are taking, because even if you are into a trade, um, to the downside, you could still close it out quickly if these news pop up and they are, of course, against your trade. Okay, so the profit taking, of course, it's going to be one of the bearish risks. In the bullish case, until the FOMC, we would be looking just the shutdown situation and what happens there. Okay, let's not forget that keeping the government shut adds up to around 15 billion US dollars in GDP losses. Okay, so this would essentially be a drag for the Fed, because it would create it would worsen the economic situation, GDP growth, right? Plus possible to hurt jobs. So the longer the shutdown lasts, the more gold is supposed to be supported, right? So that is your gold update. Of course, you may want to, before we go, look also at the possibility of potential long positions. Although I think any upside is also limited before the FOMC, you might be looking to enter at the same level, okay, with a target just in 3975 if it gets there before the FOMC, okay, and a stop just close to the previous sort of double top resistance. But yeah, as I said, I will be watching for this catalyst very close before we go to the FOMC. Okay, so yes, October is living up to its reputation as gold strongest month. Um, if you want to take the risk against the trend, remember that um, there is some sort of uncertainty currently, but gold gold is more likely to move based on the expectations of these two events for now. Okay, FOMC minutes and the shutdown before the FOMC minutes, most likely the shutdown. So yeah, I would be looking at the 3,930 being a potential level to enter a position to the upside or to the upside with the levels that we've laid out just earlier.